This is another episode of Flavor in Your Ear podcast.
A brand new flavor in your ear.
A podcast about damn near any and every topic with no filter and zero regard for the easily offended.
Everything you say upsets somebody.
Please welcome the man behind the madness.
The most important person with all due respect.
Let's go!
Your host and audio flavor maestro,
My man.
Marquise Edwards.
What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Flavor in Your Ear podcast. And this is your host, Marquise Edwards. And oh man, y'all, it's been a long day today. Why it's been a long day today? It's my first time having like technical difficulties for over 30 minutes. And this young gentleman here waited like a champ. So I really owe him this conversation to have today. His name is Philemon, a young brother here that reached out. And he wanted to talk about something. And I just realized that actually this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So the younger generation, as I was telling him in our green room session, is something I really like to tap into and hear how they feel about things, ask questions so I can learn myself as well. Because, you know, most of us out there think that our genre or generation or whatever it might be, we all have all the answers and we know how people think. I'm quite sure he doesn't think about things the same way I think about them or anybody else's age. So that's why I really, was excited to get him here on this episode today. He's also a podcaster. His podcast is called The Brief Dive. So he's been podcasting, I think he said about a year and a half or so. So trying to promote him and keep him going on this journey because I feel like podcasting is something, it's a free way to speak. And it's like a way of art where you can be yourself and people get to listen to you. So, hey, Philemon, say what's up to everybody, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me. I've got a podcast of my own, Teen Mental Health, year and a half, and don't really know what to say.
It's all good, man. All good. So what's the start of you? Like, what got you interested into podcasting in the first place? Because I know, it's popular. It's a little bit more popular now than it was before. And I'm not, no offense here, a lot of younger people want to be YouTubers, right? That's like the thing, it's easy, or TikTokers or something like that. So what made you choose podcasting first off? That's my first question. What made you choose podcasting?
So I have a cousin. Mm-hmm. He does YouTube, and just the thought of putting yourself out there was scary. Mm-hmm. Really scary. And I deal with some mental issues like myself. And the last thing I want a teen or anyone to feel is that, I just know how it feels like to have no one reach out, and it sucks. And to have an area where someone can go to and just listen to quick tips is really important to me. And and my cousin kind of motivated me when he did the whole YouTube thing and he saw growth. And I started the podcast.
Cool. And I think that's cool too, because I guess we're gonna have a lot of moments here that we can learn about each other. Because as a younger person too, it's nothing worse than feel like you're not being heard or you have nobody to turn to or to talk to when you need to, right? And one thing that a lot of people tell me is when you podcasting or doing other things, you find a problem and you try to plug a solution in there, right? So it sounds like you had an experience, right? And you're trying to solve that so nobody can go through whatever you went through or be an available avenue, somebody who I want to hear somebody with some positivity or something like that. So what made you choose the mental health aspect? That's a pretty big, those pretty big shoes right there, man. And I only say that because, tell me your thoughts on this as well, Philemon. Probably my parents and older generations didn't focus on mental health at all. And I say that because we never, like, a lot of mentalities and practices and stuff we did, we never, I think people had breakdowns and never told anybody, or they had crazy, they never focused on that. It was always like, oh, get over it. And nobody ever treated it, right? So now that we learn more that mental health is a thing, right? It's just interesting to know how you came about that, because I feel like that's a very, in some societies it's taboo a little bit, but just how'd you come about that area? Is it personal experience, or how'd that go? How'd that come about?
Well, yeah, personal experience as well. I've seen people who physically they just did not look good, and it amazed me how something in your mind can affect something outside. And it took a lot of time to people to slowly realize that. Took a lot of stubborn parents. Took a lot of how do you say this? Parents that are not against mental health, but are all fill you up with ego. If that makes sense.
Oh, no. I speak your mind. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, because sometimes I think I know what you're saying. When your parents are stuck in their ways and they believe something, how things should be done and how things should be solved, there's nothing you can really tell them until something like happens, or you just like I'll give you an example. Like if like my mom, this is not true, but I'm saying my mom was like, oh, the only way to do this is to graduate from high school and go to college and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to graduate from high school and I want to go be a plumber or something like this. Like, no, like they are fixated sometimes in the way that things are. And they feel like, because they're successful, because they're okay, that means that the avenue is for you. Right. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So when you say ego and stuff like that, I think I'm just learning that too, just to like listen more, and not just because that worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for, because today's society is different. It's different. And I'm finally starting to realize that our parents, or especially my parents, didn't have no damn internet trolls, bullying, this thing about all the influence, of society and stuff like that. It was reality TV, all that stuff like that people look up to. That wasn't that prevalent with them, man. They worked and went home and, did different things. So I get that aspect of what you're trying to say, as far as that. But so when it comes to, being a young adult, a teen, what's some of the things that you feel are misunderstood about how you all think?
Well, I want to hold you off. I'm going to go back to the last topic because I feel like I had something to say.
Oh, by all means, please.
About the parents. It's just like, I can't really be too mad at them because that's the way they're raised.
Right.
Your values are changed based on your surroundings. And the main priority was not really taking care of your mind. Now it is, like what you said, the internet trolls. You got to protect yourself. Right?
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, go into this question. What was it again?
I was saying, in regards to, what are some of the things that's misunderstood about, the younger people, how you think, what you think about, and how your thoughts may affect you. What's some of the things that you feel like people don't really understand when it comes to your thoughts, and how mental thoughts can really affect how you navigate through the day, how you get up in the morning, your mood, your decisions, because I know some things out there that a lot of us don't know, like, because we just think like kids or younger people are just being, mean, or just being shutting down. But, it got to be something in there that I know I don't see or others don't see, as far as the mental aspect of it. So, like when you having an episode or you having struggles, how do you feel? Like what's some of the things that you think people don't know about? When things are in your head, like what's some of those days look like? What do they look like? How do they? Because I want people to understand that even normal people can go through these things, right? Because nobody's gonna be like, boom, I'm crazy one day and just, which can happen, but that's like a movie scenario. Everybody's not gonna do like that, right? So typical day for you when you misunderstood or something like that. How does that look in your life?
Well, I'm really, really good at pretending that I'm fine. As teens, since they're going through like a time of change, mentally, physically, spiritually, anything, socially as well. Everything is just changing, and to go through something in the middle of that and to not have someone help guide you, I'm not saying that their parents aren't there for them, but there are just some parents that just have trouble understanding their child, if that makes sense. And that is not on them. But I think they shut people off as a way to cope, or some people do it for a cry for help, or some people just need time to process things. For me, what I do is I have trouble finding what I like to cope with, but I enjoy just chilling on my own, taking a walk. But almost, I think what connects literally everyone whenever they're overthinking is taking time to yourself and letting your thoughts just... I like to think of thoughts as like a balloon. Like if you're inside, like they're gonna fill up. But when I'm outside, I feel like I can think of unlimited thoughts and it'll just float away. But that's personally to me. But I think everyone just wants to spend some time to themselves. I'm sure you, when you were a teen, you didn't really want to be around your parents as much.
Oh hell no. Hell no.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everyone just wants some time to themselves, but they do want... It's weird. Everyone wants time to themselves, but they also want someone to reach out to them.
To hear them. They want to listen to somebody, listen to them as well. And I asked that because even my daughter, right? She's had a episode where she doesn't even like talk, like say anything, and you don't want to push too hard, but then you don't want to not say anything at all because then it's like you don't care. So I'm really like learning this. I know from somebody of a similar age, what is it? Like what? How do you? So this is my next question. I know I probably get asking some complex ass questions, but I think
keep asking. I like it.
I think you built for it. So when it comes to the company you keep as a teen or whatnot, right? How does that influence how you carry yourself mentally? Just because a lot of people influence you, right? You never know whose thoughts are trying to lead you where, right? So do you think that the company you keep, is that really like important? And how do you differentiate? How do you know who's telling you good and what? Because y'all still so young, man. Like, you got adults telling you something, friends telling you something, some people, maybe family members telling you something. How do you? I can ask you personally. How do you deal with all of that? Because I know it's kind of something overwhelming and annoying, and you could probably shut down. But how have you learned how to deal with all the different influences and people that may be around you mentally, just to be able to say, all right, this is what I want to do, and not what all these other forces are that's trying to, make you decide or do something or be what they want you to be?
It's a really good question. I think if your values are strong enough, no one else's opinion would matter. But I have moments. I think I always like to overthink. I like to think about every little thing. So if someone were to say something, it could literally be the word hamburger or something. It's going to ring in my mind throughout the day. So I think that's why it's really, 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 really important to surround yourself with good people, especially when you're a teen. Because I think when you're younger, your brain is basically like a sponge. You can take in things easily and you're going to learn it, and then you're going to become whatever you just took in. And we're just walking sponges. But sometimes I just talk and then I just wave off. I totally forgot the question. My memory hasn't.
No, you're cool, man. I was just saying, how do you deal with how you deal with all the noise? All the noise, the different noises. Because I ask you that because even as an adult, right, I hear noise too, and I'm further along in life than you are, but I still try to find a way to not shut down, and deal with it. So I don't know if you have a strategy or just how do you deal with it. That's why I was asking, because I know I don't have a strategy, but I know how I react to. Like if somebody, I'll tell you this, I'll give you an example of why you're thinking. If somebody pissed me off first thing in the morning, that's probably the easiest way for me to shut down. Like somebody who doesn't say, I'll work, right? So somebody come in and doesn't say good morning, doesn't say how I'm doing, even if it's a fake good morning, set my mood all right. I hate people that come charge in or whatever they want. It just sets me off the wrong way. And sometimes I'm like, this douche, man, like, are you serious? Like, I'm not a robot. Like, it's something like 6:30 in the morning, you come in just barking at somebody. So that's a way for me to shut down. Well, I don't give people that type of attention. So, and I'm an adult, so I'm like, I know, like, that's not the best way sometimes, because I'm just all about people, especially first thing in the morning, being positive. You never know. Like once you get older, you'll see, like, I work in a work center with like 30 people, right? And everybody comes in from their own separate places, 30 different people. How do you know how somebody's day went the day before? How do you know how somebody's night went the night before? How do you know if somebody's parents or somebody's dog or somebody's relative didn't get hurt? And you come in, first thing in the morning, blitzing in like everything is just fine because they show up to work. Sometimes people show up just to get away from their reality, so they want to just, so that's why I'm a big advocate of, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Or whatever. Then I'll talk about work, just to at least make somebody understand that them as a person, how they feel matters before you start barking like they're a robot. So that's how I cope with, how I deal with different, noises. So, I don't know what your approach is to, if in times when you're overwhelmed, I'll say that when you're overwhelmed with different things, how do you go about listening to who to listen to, or do you shut down? If you shut down, that's cool too. But how does that process go for you?
What I keep telling myself is that you can't really control how many people you see or how many insults you get, because you're going to get them regardless. Mm-hmm. You're going to see some messed up things throughout the day, and some of that stuff's going to be out of your control. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that you are in control of is how you react to it, and who you are as a person, and how fast you bounce back from it. I like what you said, though, how you just ask people about their day, because I'm starting to realize how, the workplace is just a bunch of robots.
Yes.
Just a bunch of people focusing on getting the work done. No conversations. And I think the most positive workplace is probably the most successful.
Yep. And the thing about it, I look at a lot of this content and stuff, man. They were just talking about how the younger generation, right? They would rather, make less money doing something that makes them stable and happy than chasing a bunch of money where they're unhappy. Because I feel like generations before us did that. They were unhappy, but they want this job where they were doing something where they didn't like to do, and mentally they were just draining. Right, so by the time they get all the money and whatever it is, they can't even enjoy it because they're so drained and tired from doing something that they didn't enjoy to do. So they were saying you all generation more so, you're gonna try more so to shoot for something, to do something that you like doing, because I feel like it's more longevity to that anyway. Nobody likes to do something they don't want to do, and with today's times and so many different ways to do things, be creative and stuff like that. Yeah, these jobs don't have a lot of power like they used to anymore, and you have to understand that. So a good thing to happen is for people to start, doing what they like to do. So you spoke about values a little bit, which I thought that was key, especially somebody your age, because values is something, it's either your parents instill them into you, or you get old enough to an age where you know as a person what you do value, right? And what are some of your values that you as a young man? What are some of your values that you live by? Day to day? Because you said about hanging around friends and stuff, people that have the values like yours. So what are some of your values that you have as a person?
Well, I value the idea of respect. I value empathy. I value openness. I value a lot of personality traits, if that makes sense. Just if I see someone with that personality trait, automatically I respect you. You could be my worst enemy. I value, there's always religious values. I'm not going to get into that. Right. But yeah, I value people who are just comfortable being themselves. And everyone has those moments where you see someone who's so happy and it gets you very annoyed. I don't know why. It's just something about their energy just makes you not want to talk to them. But I want to value people who are positive. But currently, I'm finding trouble.
Yeah, trust me, and I'm not going to be super superficial here. We all, something about positive. Today, toxicity is so out there and public and everywhere that it's so hard to even scoop through the bull and find something that because it seems like that's all everybody want to give attention to is the negative stuff. What's something that somebody said? They were saying, because I look at a lot of media, man. It's I'll be saying what are y'all talking about now? The shooting in Buffalo, right? The guy that did the shooting in Buffalo, right? They were saying how all of the people at the Oscars was saying how they were so traumatized by Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, but nobody's traumatized by a young man, it was 18, killing 11, shooting 11 or 13 people. I don't know how. I was just drove 3 hours away to go shoot people because of their race. And that's not traumatizing, but Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was traumatizing. This is a society thing, man. Like, because I was on a big stage. Now, Will Smith, cool, he's prestigious and all that, cool. But what he did wasn't on that level of, like tragic violence or anything like that. So society in general just gives more attention to toxicity and entertainment type of stuff other than real life empathy type of thing. So as a young man though, Philemon, how does the mental aspect go to you as far as like interacting with friends and like dating and stuff like that? How does that go? Because I know the dating game is a lot more different for you all than it was for me. It's a lot of I actually feel sorry for y'all a little bit because it's so much harder. It's harder, man, because these girls and guys, it's just different, man. It's a lot of different influence, a lot of different values. So how do you go about talking to somebody? Because I know, so you say you're overthinking and you think, and I think a lot too. And sometimes with women, you can't think too much because they like, you kind of just elevate to another level that they're not on. You like leave them there. So I know where you are. So how do you go about interacting with others? That you learn so much and you care so much about certain things. How do you go about interacting, with others and dating and stuff like that?
Okay, so the dating game is. Yeah, you're right. It sucks. It really, really sucks.
No, I truly believe that. I wasn't like, there was no cap there, man. I'm telling you, like, I know it has to be hard. And I want to hear it from you firsthand because I don't want to be like, oh, I know, but I know it can't be, it's not as straightforward as it was back before. And it gets worse over time. So just tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. What you think about it and how you think you're going to be able to navigate through it too.
I want to try to say something without offending the opposite gender. It's like nowadays you see this thing where girls are into guys that aren't really into them, if that makes sense, or just the tough guy or the guy that does bad things. But I think they do that because there's some sort of masculine energy in it. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. That's what they see, that's their thing. But for me, I'm not like the most masculine dude in the world. Like, I'm not gonna go around slapping people and like with my ego on my shoulder. No, I'm good. I think I'm single now, but the moments where I felt, how do you say it? Don't you know those days where you feel like you have attractive energy for some reason? Where like people just, those are the days where I just was my authentic self. And you attract authentic relationships, friendships, in the workplace, environment, everything. And I think being your true authentic self is the key for this generation. That makes sense. Pretending to be something you're not is, well, I hope girls don't like that, because that's I'm not going to get a girl that wants me to be like, what these guys are. But
no, I feel you on that. I wish the world was better, because you're talking about people like trying to recognize you for who you are and not trying to be like what's popular, which is, oh my God. I'm like, we don't want to talk about this too much because I don't want to rant. I'm not going to go with a rant. It's just because of the fact that you just don't know somebody till you know them, and it's hard, especially when you're an empathetic person or you're a true genuine person, to put yourself out there to someone, and you're giving your true self and they're not giving their true self. So nobody wants to waste energy, time, input into invest in somebody else, and you're like, oh man. And as far as the masculine thing, I see what you're saying, And my hope is that that's not the narrative of young women nowadays. That
I think it's slowly improving.
Because as a man, you're a man. You're gonna you're masculine, or you know what I'm saying. As long as you like, if you're a straight man, your energy is masculine. You don't have to go out there being tough, yelling, testosterone bursting out everywhere. You don't have to be doing that, right? But one thing I was taught is the loudest one in the room is not always the strongest one in the room. You don't have to be loud to be the center of attention. I'm not the type of guy either, so that's why I know where you're coming from, right? I don't have to be the guy hoorahing in the middle of the street. It's for you to know that I'm a guy, or that I'm tough, or that I'm a man. No, you don't have to do that. So that's why I really feel for you, because I feel like you're maturing into knowing what values are for yourself, but I don't know if others out there have embraced their own values. If that make any
it does, yeah, 100% does. I think it's hard to do it nowadays because everyone's changing. What girls like is different. What guys like is different. Because I've seen some guys that are with girls. I'm just like, I'm not gonna roast them, but how did they get the girl? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm starting to realize that it's low key me. I can't really be judging how they choose. If that's how they choose, that's how they choose. But this is what I've seen. Yeah. I'm not saying all girls are like this. This is just what I've seen in my 5-mile radius. And yeah.
Yeah, man, that's understandable, man. So when it comes to back to in regards to mental health, right? What would you do if you had to support or help somebody going through a mental health episode? Like if they was going through something, what would you do if you had to intervene with somebody, male or female? It doesn't matter. What would you do as to another team if they were going through something? What's some of the steps you would take to help them improve or to help them get through a mental health episode they were having?
It depends sometimes, because if it's like really, really bad, then I'll make sure they're not a danger to anyone else or to themselves. And if it's not really that bad, they're just sitting down. The most important thing for all parents, for literally anyone, the most important thing is to have a listening ear. Sometimes people just don't want to lecture. Okay. They don't want any advice. They just want you to sit there and be quiet and listen. And that's one of the key ingredients. And an extra is to let them know that you're always going to be there for them. If they need you, then you'll be right there. Mention how you're not going to try to step too far in, because that's their boundary. Let them have time to think about it. Let them have time to process it. If they say they need time for themselves, then give them some time.
Okay. And I think that's simple, but straight to the point, though. Sometimes, like you said, people don't want to lecture. I've been guilty of lecturing sometimes too. So I'll be like, let me chill. Let me just be quiet, and just listen, active listening, because sometimes people mistake hearing for listening, because like me with you, right? If you're talking and I'm just like here, and I'm not like really engaging, am I listening? I'm hearing you, but I'm not listening because I'm not intaking what you're saying, right? So, What do you say, Philemon, to any kids out there, or not kids, young adults? Let me stop saying kids. Any younger folks who may have, I guess, they're not understood by their parents. They're not understood by their parents, because that happens with every kid, right? I know you say you had a time where it's like you're better off where you understand a little bit more about you and your parents. So what do you say needs to be done between parents and kids, as far as when they're not on the same, when they're not eye to eye, they're not on the same level of understanding each other? What's some things you think they should do?
I think parents need to know that their child is not going to 100% follow their footsteps. They're not going to be a mini you. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be a junior. And teens need to know that their parents are just trying to help. They're coming from a good source. They're trying to help you with what they learned. Their way of expressing love may not be the same as your way of expressing love. And if you guys don't really see eye to eye, there's always a place to talk about it. You should always mention it. If it's the elephant in the room, definitely mention it. You guys should always be listening to each other on both ends, talking to each other, letting both of you guys know that you're going to be there for them. I mean, you guys are like in the same house, so you're always going to be there for them.
That's really key, because a lot of people go cold shoulder, right? And they feel like not talking is a solution. I'm like, you'll never, when you do that, you'll never accomplish anything. Just not talking, like nothing's gonna miraculously just boom, and just things are gonna fall in place. Somebody has to talk, somebody has to listen, and then vice versa. So that's good coming from you, because I tell people that all the time. But and me and you don't like personally know each other, but you do understand ways and things like that. And I thought something else I thought you said is key as well, that hey, parents need to understand that you're not going to be a mini them or do everything in their life. You have the freedom to make your own decisions and choices. I think that's another big thing that a lot of parents try to push. And it's good energy, but sometimes we push our, kids to try to be, I want you to be this because I've been dreaming to be this. That's your life, right? That's not what they want to pursue in their life. Of course, if they're pursuing something crazy or bad, you're not going to push that. But I'm saying whatever decisions they make in their life, man, you should support whatever it is they want to be or what they want to do, and not try to veer them off because that's not what you want them to do. As long as it's safe, man. I mean, if somebody out there doing drugs or trying to go rob banks, I'm not going to endorse that, of course. But yeah. So my close to last question for you is: so speaking on growth for yourself, right? If you could look back on yourself last year at the same time, what type of differences in your thinking can you tell? What new have you gained, your characteristics, personality wise, based on last year?
I think a little more confidence, a little more appreciation, and I think that's because I've just been working out more, gaining weight.
Okay, and a little lifting. What do you do in your spare time, if I may ask?
Go to school. After a long day of school, go straight home, work out, watch Netflix. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Before, it was really, really complex and hurt my brain. I find the most simplest tips, strategies, or lifestyles can be the best. Which is true. A lot of, especially when I'm glad you caught that now, because when you're young, a lot of people overwhelm themselves trying to do so much at one time. It's like they're not great in anything. They're just subpar or good in 20 different things. And, it's like your brain is everywhere. So that overload is a thing. You actually, I feel like you actually starting to understand a lot of things that adults even understand later on in life. Because you'll be surprised about how many adults try to, you're an adult as well, but I'm just saying full grown adults try to, overload themselves with, I'm going to do 50 things because I can. And that's not healthy, man. It's not healthy. It's good that you niching down a little bit to be able to control it. And you say, I'm making it as simple as possible. And that's what you like to enjoy. So I think that's pretty cool, man. You actually, man, you got a good head on your shoulders, man. So I want you to know, in this conversation, I'm not gonna say you're well beyond your years, because I hate people to say that, well beyond your years. I hate that saying. I just think I think you just mature and you're on the right path, man. Like, I know in today's world it's hard to be yourself. It's hard to be different. Definitely. Or because people criticize you. They did to me, man. Like, even when I joined the Air Force, people were like, why you join the Air Force? You want to do this? I'm like, man, like, let me do what it is that I want to do, so it takes a lot of courage and strength. And that's what I'm saying, like, as far as being a man or a young man or whatever, it takes a lot of strength to do and be about what you want to be about, regardless of all the criticism and the noise that might be in your ear. There can be a lot of isolation that comes with it sometimes. It does, and you have to get used to it. Because I used to be always that person, I gotta have one person to tell, or something like that. But once you get over that little period, and you're okay, being with yourself, or in solitude by yourself, and knowing sometimes it's not going to be nobody with you, and sometimes it is, right? A lot of us are afraid to be without somebody there, so that's something you can embrace, man. And I really do wish you just growing, learning. I think you're only gonna get better. You're only gonna get better, and you're only gonna learn more, man. And
you got a long life, man. You got a long life. So I want you to know you're on the right track. And even if you have them days, man, where it might be bad or it might be a little confusing, I don't care what any adult says, any parent says. They're lying if they say they didn't have the same exact times. I've had those. I've had those in my 20s. I've had those in my late 20s. So you have those days where you like doubting and, you know, you might be upset and all that stuff like that, man. But just what you told me, something I'm going to take learning from you. Your values, man. Your values only for you. They're only for you. And whatever you know what it is you value, keep that, man. Keep it, because that's what, that way nobody's going to be able to come in your life and define what your values are. So I don't want to be here preaching to you. I feel like we had a good conversation. We had a good conversation, and you know, I really appreciate, you know, you being open and honest, and you know, you being able to speak your mind. That's good, and I want to put a boat of confidence in there for you, man. Work on yourself, and this is my last tidbit to you, man. Work on yourself. Once you're good, somebody will notice, because you ain't trying to impress nobody else, and it's not the most easiest road to be on. But man, once you know you're working yourself, trust me, somebody like, oh my God, you know, look at him, and then that's going to be your decision whether you want to allow them to be in your life or not, you know. But don't chase nobody else, man. You'll be fine, man. Trust me, you'll be fine. I wish I could tell a lot of people that we lose ourselves sometimes trying to, you know, complete somebody else, man. As long as you got it all good upstairs, and I feel like you building that those mental blocks up there where you actually trying to help others too. And I'm quite sure everything will be just fine. So how do you feel about our conversation today? What you think?
Really, really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah, so besides me being late, I'm not even faking like that. Don't put out I was so late and so mad because this microphone wasn't working. So he stayed like a champ. He still came with good energy. He still told me it was okay. So that's why I told him I wasn't under no time constraints. So I would say we're going to talk however long, you know, that was needed. And he's been a really good guest. I definitely, so I will be doing sneak peek. I will be doing video sessions probably a little later on during the year. And I definitely would like to have you back when I have a panel, or, you know, of guests, maybe younger guests or thing like that. Y'all could talk to each other. I kind of facilitate the conversation. So I think, that'll be awesome for you if you still keep in contact. I keep your email and everything like that, man. So, you have any closing remarks for the listeners out there before we wrap everything up?
Number one, I am down.
Where can they find? Where can they find you, man? Where can they find you?
Okay. Number one, I'm totally down for the panel thing. Number two,
okay.
The last tip I'd like to give anyone is love is everywhere. You just got to find it. And you just got to fix your lens. Don't try to be narrow-minded. Try to be open and be open for love. And people can find me at thebriefdive@gmail.com or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Okay. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, The Brief Dive.
Okay, The Brief Dive. Okay, because I'll probably follow you after this session is over as well. So, hey, man, Philemon, I appreciate you, man. You've been awesome. Really stand-up guy. I can't say that enough. And hopefully, you know, this conversation gave you a little bit of a boost. Whatever it is that you're doing, you know, in your life, you're only going to get better, man. Trust me. BS is not done in life, and learning is not done in life. But the earlier you learn stuff, man, the better, I think, because you got some 30, 40-year-old adults learning just what you learned, like, now. So just feel good about that, man, because a lot of growth happens within yourself. You have to decide to want to be, you know, what you want to be. So appreciate you for your time, man. Thank you for joining. Hey, everybody, go out there and make sure that you listen to his podcast. My young adults out there, if y'all trying to, you know, hear something good for you, as you can see, The Brief Dive. This is the CEO of The Brief Dive, the host, the mastermind behind it, and he speaks from a place of experience, man, which is good, man. I wish back when I was younger that, now it's not going to update myself back when I was younger. I wish back when I was a teen that, you know, I had somebody listen to that was going through similar things like that. And I had those nights where I was alone and thinking to myself, and I had a podcast to listen to or something like that, to somebody my age that was going through the same thing. I know, you know, you're not alone. So I really really, really, really commend him for what he's doing. I hope he continues to do it, man. If you ever need any help or anything like that, once I get a little bit bigger, I won't forget you. I promise that. Man. So thank you again, Philemon, and thank everybody out there for listening to this session. We appreciate you all's listening ear. We appreciate you all's support. As always, we support everybody. We support all viewpoints, and we support good people at the end of the day. So mental health is something that it doesn't have an age. Everybody's brain is at a different place. So I love tapping into the younger folks, knowing what they're thinking, because their brains matter too, just like our old decrepit brains matter as well. So I want everybody out there just to know that this was a very special episode to me, and I appreciate everybody for listening. We will catch you all on the next episode. Thank you for listening. This is Marquise from Flavor in Your Ear and Philemon from the Brief Dive Podcast. We'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Please leave an honest review, subscribe, and share. Listen to us on all platforms. Follow us and ask questions on Twitter at Marquise Podcast Mailbag. Follow us on IG at Flavor in Your Ear Podcast. And like our Facebook page, Flavor in Your Ear Podcast. For exclusive content, info, special offers, and free entry into our monthly giveaways, send your email address to flavorinyour247@gmail.com to join our email list. If you're anxious, we have a snippet following our next episode's topic. Peace and love.